How's it going, everyone? RAMTEID here. Today will be a precursor to another video that I will be doing, which will be covering the skill rating system in Battlefield 1. I figured that there would be too much information to cover, so I decided to split the video up and cover score per minute first. For this video, I will be covering the score per minute, which can be abbreviated to SPM. I'll be going over what it is, what it's used for, and whether or not it is a useful measure to use within the game. As for what is a good score per minute, or how to increase your score per minute, I will not be covering those in this video, as they are something for an entirely separate video. So first of all, what is score per minute? Well, to put it simply, your score per minute is the average number of points you obtain per minute within the game. The score per minute is calculated by taking your total score and dividing it by the number of minutes that you have played. I'm fairly certain that the time played only includes time that you're actually spawned in a match and not at the death screen, but I could be wrong. So now that we know what score per minute is, what is it used for? Well, score per minute is one of 3 factors used to determine the skill rating within the game, and score per minute makes up 60% of that rating. And your skill rating is used for balancing purposes within the match, but that's what I will be getting into for the next video. Now, is score per minute a useful measure within this game? Well, it's yes and no. Score per minute can give some insight into how much a player is doing points-wise for their team. However, it can be quite misleading at times. Score per minute can be influenced by in-game rewards such as ribbons in previous Battlefield titles, and the ribbon system will be making a comeback for Battlefield 1. Now, score per minute can also be influenced by in-game bonuses, especially from those such as XP boosts. This can lead to a player having an exaggerated score per minute, which can cause their skill rating to be higher than what it would have been otherwise. This is why I think that the general score per minute is something that should be looked into far more than just regular score per minute. Now, what general score per minute is the same thing as score per minute, except it's not impacted by in-game bonuses and rewards. So generally speaking, it is a lower number than score per minute because there's less points there for the individual player overall. But I still think it's a much better measure of what each player is doing individually per minute for their team, at least points-wise. For an example, I remember from Battlefield 3 when they first introduced XP boost events and weekends. I didn't play much during the first few events, but I had several friends who did, and they ended up with score per minutes well above 1,000, talking in the 12 to 1300 range, if not a little bit higher, while mine was around the 800 mark. Just by looking at the score per minutes and comparing them, you would think that they would have been consistently above me on the scoreboard. However, that was not the case. This was also indicated by the general score per minute, as mine was 75 to 100 points or more above theirs, meaning that on a per minute basis, I would score upwards of 100 points or more than they did. Now, the skill rating in Battlefield 3 was far different from in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, but the score per minute was still a major determining factor in this rating. To give another example of this, my score per minute on Battlefield 4 was in the top 7%, while my general score per minute was in the top 4%. That was because I didn't use a ton of XP boosts while playing Battlefield 4, so strictly looking at my score per minute didn't give a real indication on how many points I got for my team per minute. On top of that, the average score per minute can vary greatly depending on the type of game mode that someone is playing. Playing a fast-paced game mode such as TDM or Domination could easily yield a player with a higher score per minute than they would have gotten otherwise. This will in turn impact their skill rating, but I want to get more into all of that in the next episode. Anyway, I just wanted to cover some basics on the score per minute before I did the video on the skill rating. So be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want to see future content. Thanks for watching and have an excellent day. RAMTEID out.